She Walks in Beauty by Lord Byron, presented by Dr. Vinamrata. Hello, dear students. Today we are going to critically analyze this poem written by Lord Byron titled She Walks in Beauty. First, let's have a brief look into Byron's life and his works. The full name of Lord Byron, generally known as Lord Byron, is George Jordan Byron. 22nd January 1788 to 19th of April 1824. He is famously known as Lord Byron. He is a poet, peer, and politician. He became a revolutionary in the Greek War of Independence and fought very hard there, and that's why he is also regarded as a national hero. And he died due to a disease caught during the war. One of the leading figures of the Romantic movement, he was a poet of Romanticism and has composed many poems, among which one we are going to study today is full of romantic vigor and vein. He is widely read and he has written long narrative poems like Don Juan and Childe Harold's Pilgrimage, for which he was which actually Don Juan was taken as a sample for many of the plays written by many writers, and Childe Harold's Pilgrimage was also a total success. It was very famous, very well read in his times and still now. So these are one of the classic narrative poems written by Byron. Now moving on to the poetry. First, talking about the structure of the poem is divided into 3 stanzas which has got 6 lines each, and the rhyme scheme which is followed is A B A B A B. We can say that alternate lines are rhyming, and it is written in iambic tetrameter. So here is the full poem before us. She walks in beauty. She walks in beauty like the night of cloudless climes and starry skies, and all that's best of dark and bright meet in her aspect and her eyes, thus mellowed to the tender light which heaven to gaudy day denies. One shade the more, one ray the less, had half impaired the nameless grace, which waves in every raven tresses, or softly lightens over her face. Where thoughts serenely sweet express how pure, how dear their dwelling place. And on that cheek and over that brow, so soft, so calm, so eloquent, the smiles that win, the tints that glow, but tell of days in the goodness spent. A mind at peace with all below, a heart whose love is innocent. So this is the poem, and we can see the beauty of a lady is being praised here, and not only her outward beauty. Although he is romantic, he has included all the natural elements, and he has described the beauty of the night and the light and the shades of light which are seen during the night because of the starry sky, and how that creates a visual effect on us, plus that light when reflected upon the lady, how her beauty is enhanced, and obviously it creates a visual sense, the outward physical beauty of nature and the lady, but it also talks about the intellect of the lady. It also talks about the pure heart of the lady, means the lady is not just physically beautiful or outwardly beautiful, but has got inner glow. Inner beauty is also important. So this is the poem, and let's have a look about the background, why the poem was composed. The poem is dedicated to Mrs. Anne Beatrix Wilmore, wife of Byron's first cousin, Sir Lord Robert Wilmore. When Byron saw her at a party in London, it was the first time when he saw her, he was so struck by her unusual beauty that he wrote this poetry. And overnight he wrote it, and the next morning the poetry was completed. Talking about the theme of the poetry, Byron aesthetically appreciates the affinity of the lady as well as the nature. He focuses on the detailed description of the beauty of the lady, both inner and outer. spotlighting the aesthetic surroundings of night, stars, and the hues coming from the sky, and exploring the detailing of the lady's intelligence and physical beauty. Talking about the line by line analysis of the poem and the critical analysis of the stanzas, in the first stanza, Byron compares the lady's beauty to the night. And in the very starting lines, he uses the simile of the cloudless climes and starry skies. So the skies are full of stars, and all the beauty of the nature, all the climate, the cloudless clime which is visible, sky, because stars will be only visible when the sky is clear. So it is cloudless, the sky is clear, there are no clouds, and because of that the stars are very nicely visible. And he emphasizes the clarity and the brightness of her beauty, just like the clarity and the vision that is present now in the sky. He says that it is the hues of the night which is the best appreciated and enhances the beauty of the lady, because he feels that the daylight is too gaudy, too pompous, because in the daylight it is very bright, so it's not that bright. A kind of sophistication, a kind of soothingness is associated with the light which is visible at night. So he says that that is more important. The daylight is too gaudy, too pompous and show off, but the night light is soothing and serene and soft. So such is the beauty of the lady. Her beauty is like that of the night, serene and full of simplicity. The second stanza praises the woman's raven colored hair and appreciates the balance of dark and bright that meets in her eyes. So the eyes are compared to the blackness of the raven, and the tresses are compared to the raven's wings and feathers. And because the hairs are coming on to her, towards her face, are dangling on her forehead, he appreciates also the resting place of those tresses, that is the forehead, that is her mind. So now he goes on from physical beauty to the inner beauty of the mind, of her intelligence, and he says that this interplay of light and dark enhances her beauty. Poet feels that the dwelling place of her raven like tresses, that is the forehead, are full of intelligent thoughts. He goes up to say that her mind is pure and her thoughts are serene. And now we move on to the final stanza, which explores the pure smile of the lady, which floods her cheeks, and Byron also mentions her innocent heart and pure love. Her smile wins everyone's heart, and the mind is always at peace. She has a golden heart whose love is innocent and pure. So that is the last line when we end the poetry, that the heart and the love is innocent. So that is all about the poetry, and obviously we have seen the beauty, both inner and physical, about the lady and about the nature, which has been described detail in the poem, which has been described very vividly in the poem. You can feel all the senses coming to life. You can feel the night, the lady coming to life while reading the poem. So obviously we are quoting from Keats here, that a thing of beauty is joy forever. Such was the impression of the beauty of the lady on Byron, that he created this poetry, and this poetry is become a joy forever till date for us and for everyone, the readers who read it. So a thing of beauty is joy forever. On that note, I would like to end up this critical analysis of the poem. Thank you.